This is the Sports Talk Podcast, episode 10. I'm your host, Kim Moisa, and we have another special guest on. She is from Long Island, not on the island or wearing the island. If you have to say that to her, she might get a little angry about that, but she's a huge New York Islanders fan. She has her own YouTube channel, podcast called Kim in the Crease that did reach 1,000 subscribers. So I have to commend her for that, congratulate her for that. On Twitter, she's known as Owls Girl 3. Super great with Islanders content and following up around each league. She's Kim Moisa. Kim, thank you for having to be on here and tell us a little bit about yourself and your fandom about the Islanders.
Hey man, what's up? Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk hockey with you. I'm really excited to do this. But a little bit about me. I'm a third generation Islanders fan. My grandparents were season ticket holders since 1973. Kind of just grew up in a whole Islanders family and Islanders household. It became a really close passion of mine and something that I just love talking about because hockey is not just the love of the sport. It's kind of like my own personal family.
It's very good to hear. So I know we see some of your videos. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube. Great stuff. I saw a couple favorite teams and least favorite teams. I saw you like two of the teams that I actually love, besides my New Jersey Devils. That is the Washington Capitals and the Boston Bruins. So I have to chime in a little bit. What makes you love both the Caps and the Bruins?
Yeah, you're probably like division rivals. Like, what the heck are you thinking? With the Bruins, it's more of a family kind of thing where my cousins live up in Massachusetts. And I grew up with him being a huge Bruins fan. And you know what? So it kind of became like a similar love. You know, I had the appreciation for the Bruins because, you know, my cousin was such a big fan. So I just became a little bit of a Bruins fan because of that. And also, they got Zdeno Chara from us, and I loved Zdeno Chara. So he became I loved, you know, watching him on the ice, and he became, you know, he's one of my favorite players in the league. So that's why I have an appreciation for the Bruins. They're obviously not my favorite team, of course, but big appreciation for the Bruins there. With the Capitals, I rooted for them in the playoffs. I wanted them to win, you know, get that Stanley Cup after, you know, finally defeating the Penguins and all that. I think they had a great story, great momentum. They had Barry Trotz back then, and they also had, you know, Alex Ovechkin, who I feel is a legend that we're watching on the ice right now. And again, it's just an appreciation of their team, appreciation of their effort, and just the subtle appreciations. I'm glad we stole Barry Trotz from them, but It was fun to watch them watch the Cup that year. I'm not gonna lie.
That's very good. I mean, like you said, myself with the Bruins, my mother is from Western Springfield in Massachusetts. She grew up near Springfield, Mass, by the Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame. If anyone doesn't know that, first couple few exits when you enter Massachusetts. If anyone doesn't know, also my fandom with the Celtics when I was a kid. My second favorite team in hockey is the Bruins, of course, because of my mother. My younger brother, he's a rabid Bruins fan, loves Chara, loves Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, Tuukka, Yaroslav, all those guys. And if anyone also should know, baseball-wise, you got to come to Yankee country to find me because I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm not a Mets fan. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, and I hold that with the great accountability because I do get teased a lot ever since I was a kid. But I mean, it's all fun and games when you have a good team, solid team. I mean, we're not talking about baseball here. We're talking about some hockey. And let's deep dive in about your Islanders here. And I know we talked during the show that we had with my two good friends on Deeks and Dangles for a college radio station, and we talked about the new Belmont Park, and of course, we talked about the Coliseum. I asked you a deep dive question about what you see in the Coliseum, how the feeling of it and stuff. You said like it might be like an old rundown barn, but like you said, it's your barn. It's the heart and soul of Uniondale out in Long Island. go over that bridge, get
On Long Island.
on Long Island. Yeah, on Long Island. I can't. I mean, I'll
Well, I
probably
gotta
get
get it. I gotta give
crucified
it to
for
you,
that.
man. I gotta give it to you.
I it's I have to say, like, I try to get it right, but then I still get it wrong. It's like you pronounce names in New Jersey. It's like you go to Secaucus and people say Secaucus, and it's like no, like because there's multiple sports offices there. You got NHL Network, MLB Network, and then NBA TV there in Secaucus. So I mean, pronouncing names is kind of funny, but I want to know how big of a boost it'll be to have this new stadium for the Islanders because one, the Coliseum, as they call the old barn, it's not going to be used, I guess, and the Barclays Center is literally a basketball stadium, which is kind of okay, but it's a basketball arena, and but they use it for hockey, and the jumbotron's not even directly above the center ice, which and then you have a whole section blocked off, and it kind of like rubs me a little bit the wrong way because you look at the Islanders, great, they're a great hockey franchise, and you look at the teams when you got Bob Nystrom and great coach Al Arbor, without a doubt, one of the greatest hockey coaches of all time. And you look at this team now, and they haven't been that way since like the glory days, I guess you could say. But now, like with all this like revamped, I guess, with going back to the old barn last year, beating the Penguins, sweeping them, and you get to play Carolina in that second series, that second round, I should say. Unfortunately, we all know what happened with that. But what does it mean to like be at that place and like not like want to feel like, oh, we're gonna have a new home, but like let's just make some lasting memories while we have it here.
No, yeah, you have to understand that Barclays was our last resort. It wasn't something that we were like, oh, we want Barclays. It was either Barclays or not be in New York. And so that's the only reason I'm just glad we even had Barclays in the first place because I still have a team and they're still here. But also another thing you have to understand is, after Bill Torrey, after Al Arbor, we didn't have much help in the structure department. I mean, you could just go on with, Mike Milbury, John Spano, Jack Capuano, and then, like, it's just like all the pieces that were just not good just fall again and again and again, making the same mistakes again and again.
I have to make a comment about the Spano era, about you ever watch that E60 about that Islanders owner when they had the fisherman jerseys?
Yeah.
The early 2000s. Little skeptical, but continue.
But yeah, no, it was just the same mistakes again and again, losing great players that, like Luongo, like Zdeno Chara, like Niederreiter, just so many things that just went wrong. And it's about like time we've, finally started fixing those mistakes. Islanders fans were crying, for it. Charles Wong, may he rest in peace, but he was an owner who cared. And he did try to get us the Lighthouse Project, and just plain old politics screwed us there. So the fact that we're even getting this arena is like a miracle. And it's really changing the face of the franchise. And it's one of the hardest things was gaining those players who want to come and play here, gaining, top people who want to say, I want to play for this team, because we had two different arenas, or Barclays Center was horrible and things like that. The fact that we can say to these new, players coming in, or even like in re-signing new contracts, we have a new arena. This is going to happen. It is 100% secured now. And it's, it's having that security behind us. And it's also just great. I think it's the fan base, because of for how many years we've just been chirped by other NHL. Oh, you have like 3 homes. Oh, you're a basketball arena. You have a car in the corner of your arena. Like, we've heard it from, tooth to nail. We've just, we're kind of, as a fan base, I would say I'm sick of it. So to have stability, to be able to say we have stability and that we're going in a right direction is something that's new and it's exciting. And I can't wait to see where it goes. And the new arena, because we've gotten to see a lot of the drawings for it. We've gotten to see a lot the construction, like the aspects that they're looking to put into the arena, is that it's going to be very, very similar to Nassau Coliseum, where we won those 4 Stanley Cups. It's going to have that same type of structure and energy. And there's a lot of great Islanders fans who are, employed to work on this arena, who give updates, and it's looking gorgeous. And they said by the end of this month, the roof should be complete.
That's very good here. I've seen pictures and little bits and videos of the new arena. I can't wait to take the train up there whenever I can, see the Devils hopefully try to grab 2 points or 1 point. Depends on how good the Islanders will be in a few
You
years.
get 0.
Dude, maybe I'll vie for a point if Lindy Ruff gets up on something for that team.
That's right. You have Ruff. I forgot about that.
But let's move on here. I want to talk about the playoff schedule. There's gonna be exhibitions next week, but I want to talk about one exhibition that you're probably very interested in, and MSG Network will televise that, I believe. And it's the rivalry, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You have the Islanders and the Broadway Blues, blue shirts. The team that plays in the Garden, and I just don't know. Is it me, or I've said this to many people. I don't have a problem with Islanders fans. I love Islanders fans. They're so passionate. I think of the Islanders fans as Mets fans. It's like what the Yankees are. It's like what the Rangers are to the Yankees, kind of.
No, it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, and I look at it and I'm like, don't even count the Buffalo, I guess you could say, because I mean, if you look at Buffalo, like they can compete. The years prior they competed with anybody, and I mean that.
Buffalo doesn't have too much beef.
But I think that if you look at the common rivalry, it's Rangers Islanders, it's Rangers Devils, it's Rangers Flyers, it's Flyers Devils, and it's like that tri-state area kind of vibe where, look, you go down the Parkway in New Jersey, you end up in Philly, and you go play the Flyers. Same with the Rangers, they do it. If you're the Rangers, you take the bridge, you go to Long Island. No saying say those 2 words, the other words, but either then from Long Island, they would have to go to the Garden and have to play the Rangers, and you get to see blue and orange, and you get to see blue and red, and you'd love to see Rangers fans at like not in a mean way, but you love to see that at Nassau because it adds more of a vibe to the rivalry because it's just so intense because they're just too close to each other, and I love that rivalry so much because it just brings out the best of anybody. And I just want to get your thoughts on like the whole like epidemic of like the Rangers and Islanders rivalry, as well as probably the Flyers, I guess, or maybe your thoughts on the Devils rivalry. Because like I don't think there's a rivalry with the Islanders or the Devils.
There's not. There's actually a camaraderie.
Yeah, I could say that because we both do not like the Rangers. So.
Exactly. But it's just the fact that you have the Rangers here, their original 6 team. They're the ones who got they like pop the collar like we're original 6, we're all city, da da da, and then the Islanders come in the 1972, and it's like we're the New York team, get out, and we're like we're here to play. So it's really fun, and I really do enjoy Islanders Rangers games. Even Matt Barzell in his like rookie season commented about how he really has fun during those games and like hearing the fan chants and things like that. I think it's a lot of fun as long as it doesn't get, too out of hand. I've seen Ranger Islanders games where, it gets out of hand. And I'm going to, I say it like this. It's just that I appreciate, the fun, the rivalry it brings. And just like it creates a really intense atmosphere, that you don't get at games much. And it makes games that much more enjoyable. And, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. And that's the fun of the sport. I just don't appreciate when and it doesn't matter like any team, but where you're wearing like Islander stuff to a Ranger game and the Islanders aren't playing, or you're wearing Ranger stuff it happens more often with Islanders games because our tickets are just so much more cheap than Rangers tickets. But you'll see like Ranger fans coming to like an Islander Red Wings game and going, "Let's go Red Wings!" Like I'm like, dude, just no. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you 2 more questions about like the whole Islanders stuff. Then we'll get to the playoff stuff. So I'm gonna ask you, were you at the game where I don't want to call him Captain Canada because he doesn't deserve that nickname because you know who Captain Canada is.
John
But
Tavares'
were you at that game?
Yeah.
Please give a brief description, just brief, on how loud that place was. Just brief, because I remember watching TV screen, listening to Brendan Burke on MSG, and looking at myself. They're doing this to him. They're saying this to him. Why am I not at this game? This game is literally sold out. People are standing on balconies and stuff, and they're screaming on the top of their lungs from the first whistle to the last horn of the game. So just give me like a brief thing of what happened from possibly warm-ups too, because they were giving it to him during warm-ups.
Yeah, you know what? During warm-ups, I was on our side. I didn't really hear anything on that side because I was focused on my team. I was there for the Islanders, baby. That's 100% why I was there. And we had, have some fun poking at John Tavares, the number one thing I thought that night was win. Just freaking win. And that's how you win the war. You shut them up by grabbing that win. And you know what? I was like, let's go. Let's do this. I'd heard, chirps on either side. And I was like, let's shut them up and just win. Yeah. And I knew they were going to boo John Tavares when he came on the ice at first. I did not know they would do it for the whole entire game. Like, Islanders fans, you don't understand our passion. You don't understand our passion until you're sitting your butt in those seats and you hear us loud and proud. The chants, oh my God, the chants, the energy in that building was like we had won the Stanley Cup. It was just insanity, the amount of just energy and passion. It was as loud as a playoff game in there. It sounded like, I saw even comments on YouTube saying it sounded like a soccer arena, things like that. And just the chants. When we started chanting, "Who's your daddy?" I was crying in my seat. Like, tears were rolling down my face of just pure laughter. Like, it was just a fun, incredible moment because the Islanders showed up to play. And that's the most important part, is that, the New York Islanders showed up to play. 6 unanswered goals against the Toronto Maple Leafs, just absolutely destroying their defense. I mean, Brock Nelson gets a goal with all 5 of their players in front of the net. Like, just destroyed them on the ice and grabbed 6-1 win. I mean, I couldn't have asked for more, and the fans just made it all that better, and it was one of the best games of my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, you look at players like Matt Barzal, Anthony Beauvillier, my guy, the Ranger Killer, J.G. Pajot, Jean-Gabriel Pajot, and you look at those core guys, and they're going to be scary in this playoff for the Islanders. And I want to bring another question to this. I need to talk about what is with Islanders fans and not liking the Pittsburgh Penguins. And this goes back to early 2000s. And you can rewatch that whole 15-minute or 20-minute extravaganza of
2011.
200+ penalty minutes, 5, 6, 7 fights, possible probably 10 ejections, maximum 6 players on each bench, and just a sea of Islanders fans just berating Brad Johnson as someone had to go after him. So,
yeah, the infamous fight of 2011 between the Islanders and Penguins. That is definitely a fun one to rewatch. I gotta remember I was like 10, 11 when this happened. But I do remember it was because in a previous Islanders-Penguins game, what I remember is that there was a really dirty hit against an Islanders player. I wish I had a better memory on it. I'm gonna probably brush up after this about it, but there was a really, really dirty hit that apparently wasn't called, and it really rubbed the fan base the wrong way. And so it started a spark between Islanders and Penguins fans that season. So when that game came around, we were, out for blood. We were out for payback. And it was heated either way, and it started getting really physical to the point where there was like a fight every 2 minutes. The Islanders were just, crushing the Penguins at that point, and it was just like, screw it, all out brawl. It was just something where it was just like, it was old school hockey, and everyone was eating it up. Everyone loved it. I remember as a little kid watching that game on television and just loving every second of it. As a 10, 11-year-old, I didn't know why it was happening, but I loved it. But I just remember that game just, I still look back on it, like on the anniversary and date and stuff like that, because if you want to watch hockey fights in pure, just like old school hockey, just look up on YouTube 2011 Islanders Penguins, and it's the first thing that pops up, and it's so much fun.
And I just looked up Matthew Talbot's hit on Blake Como that gave him a concussion was the reason why that happened. And I remember that during those brawls, that made me a Josh Bailey fan. And
Josh Bailey got into Trevor Gillies was the man. He threw it. Oh man,
him standing in front of the door looking at, like, berating the guarded was kind of like, but like, Goddard did get hurt on that play when he delivered that hit, and then of course he got jumped, and of course huge ball broke out, and so
it was just pure fun.
So let's move on to some Stanley Cup playoff stuff. Use your predictions in here with some stuff. So I have it up here. So the top 4 seeds in the Western Conference, of course, the defending champion St. Louis Blues, the Colorado Avalanche, the team that you have had not want to see win the Stanley Cup because of a kind of a fluke of season that you want to talk about, but you've talked about previously the Vegas Golden Knights, and surprisingly, rounding these 4 teams are the Dallas Stars in that division, in that Central Division, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then for the qualifying round, we'll go off with the seeds here. The number 5 seed, the Edmonton Oilers, who do have home ice advantage. And we've talked about this on a show that I am currently co-hosting called Decent Dangles on 90.3 WMSC for my school. And also, they will face the Chicago Blackhawks, who get the 12th seed. And I think that'll be a fun matchup. So, what are your thoughts on that 5 and 12 thing? Because if you look at the Oilers and look at the Blackhawks, it's kind of like a little dead square even, but you got 2 MVP candidates on the same line, 2 guys that vie for almost 100 points. I made this crazy prediction, and I will stick with my Hart Trophy winner because he's going to be the Hart Trophy winner. It's Leon Draisaitl, and I will say that unwittingly. If any Rangers want to swipe up in the comments and say Breadman or Zibanejad, go ahead. I recommend you swiping up on my comments and telling me that those 2 Ranger players did great. And, of course, they did great this past year. But I got those 2 guys on the same line, on the power play, Draisaitl and McDavid, they're scary. And then you look at the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks, of course, the ageless wondering of Patrick Kane, and of course, everyone calls him Captain Canada because whatever, Jonathan Taves, he's clutch and stuff. Who do you see in this best of 5 come out with this victory? Because I'm very certain, and I believe I did pick Edmonton a couple months back. So give me your thoughts on this matchup and who you see moving on.
Oh, it's definitely Edmonton. Absolutely Edmonton. I really see Edmonton going, past, what you're talking about, and, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think, those 3 are just so dominant, and I feel like they were really picking up this season. But you have to look at also the other side with the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, Corey Crawford's out. They don't have Corey Crawford for these for the preliminary rounds of the playoffs. I think in general, due to injury, and right now when they need Robin Leonard, they don't have Robin Leonard anymore. But I'm not saying Malcolm Subban's horrible. I think he's a good goaltender, but he's not up to the aptitude I feel like Leonard is. He doesn't have that that same just like stride Leonard does in net and that save percentage. But yeah, no, that's going to be a huge loss for them, is not having Corey Crawford in net. And they don't they do have the I don't think he's back yet. I have to look at their injuries. I don't know if he's still hurt, but I think that's what's going to kill him, is that goaltending and that defensive prospect of it. I think they have it on the forwards, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. But other than that, I feel like systematically the team doesn't have defense or solid goaltending, and that's what's going to kill them, especially when you have people like Connor McDavid coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, also Dominic Kubalik, who was the finalist for the Calder Trophy, and alongside, I mean, fellow rookie with the third overall pick, scary number 77, Kirby Doc. Great name, great player, of course. Yes. Where's my number when I play hockey? But I'm a big Kirby Doc guy. I love how he plays on the ice. He's very skillful, and you know what? It'll take. I think the Blackhawks are such in a rebuilding mode because they've already won their cups, and these guys are getting old. And you see now, I think you built towards more in the future. And of course, you look at Edmonton. It's just McDavid. I mean, you look at McDavid. Who's going to stop the guy? I mean, the only reason you're going to stop the guy is if you're going to have to make a love save or a desperation save, unless give up a rebound. Then Leon Draisaitl all alone in the spot, and then it's just crazy. So let's move on from that. The next matchup, we have the 6th-seeded Nashville Predators against the 11th-seeded, surprisingly, the Arizona Coyotes. And I made a prediction a couple years ago that I thought the Arizona Coyotes were going to make the playoffs a few years ago, and they didn't. But they were ready. They were probably 5, 6, 7 points shy. But if you look at this now, with the whole situation dealing with the combine issues or what that whole shenanigans is about, but I'm not really too bright on the Coyotes yet. I think I give them a few more years. I'm a big Clayton Keller guy. You got Phil Thrill with them. You got the guy that you traded from the New Jersey Devils, the former Hart Trophy winner, Taylor Hall. I give him a couple few more jabs at it, but I do see the Predators moving on. And what do you think about this matchup? Because I think it clearly favors Nashville.
Yeah, I put Nashville down for this one. I think it'd be a cool upset to see Arizona though come on top, and get to the first round. But honestly, I think this is going to be Nashville's round straight up.
That's good. So then we have the 7th-seeded Vancouver Canucks and the 10th-seeded Minnesota Wild, and this is a interesting matchup because these two haven't faced each other in a while. But does everyone remember? I believe when Andrew Ference did play for the Minnesota Wild back in the day, he got the Minnesota Wild during the first couple of years, made some big playoff upsets, and then ultimately stumbled down a bit. But I look at the Vancouver Canucks, and you see Brock Besser, you see Quinn Hughes, who's called a trophy candidate, Jacob Markstrom goal, great story for him. But I just don't know. I'm not really too fond of the Minnesota Wild. I do see the Canucks getting there in the sweep, or at least give the Wild a game, I guess you could say. But I feel as Vancouver has the edge on this series. What are your thoughts on that?
We're picking the same picks because I picked Vancouver. Definitely. I just don't feel the Wild are that strong of a team. To be honest, I don't know much about Central Division. I have to really brush up on my Western half, teams, but yeah, no, I just know of watching them play against the Islanders and stuff like that. The Canucks are definitely more a force to be reckoned with. They definitely have, I feel like, more talent on their team than the Minnesota Wild do. So I'm going all Vancouver here.
That's good. Then we'll move on to the final qualifying matchup. This is going to be a fun 5 games or whatever how the series ends. It has the Winnipeg Jets with the 9th seed against the 8th seed Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames are hot, hot, hot. They're on fire. They are one of the most surprising teams in the league. And as much as I'm a good fan of Patrick Laine and his crew with Winnipeg, huge Colin Hellebuyck fan and stuff, Mark Scheifele, I wish this was in Winnipeg just to see whiteout cutouts in MTS Place, Bell MTS Place, just chanting True North during the Canadian National Anthem. But I gotta give them to the folks in Alberta because these guys are going to be something. Mark Giordano, Matthew Tkachuk, anyone can say whatever. The kid's a grinder. He's a great distance player. He gets underneath your skin, but when he makes the plays, he makes those plays. And Monahan, of course, Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, Jersey Boy, of course, by way of Boston College. And I just see the Flames either sweeping or ending in 5. I don't see the Jets moving on this series.
Wow. I actually have opposite of you. I have the Jets winning this series. I get what you're saying. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau, but like the players we're listening to before, like Scheifele and everything like that. Like, I just feel like in a talented sense, they're gonna come on top. Calgary is gonna be missing Hamonic on the back end there, as he's a very solid defenseman. I understand, why he dropped, but it's definitely gonna be a great loss to their defensive depth. But out of the two teams, I picked the Jets to win this one. I think they got more in their pocket. Plus, you got to remember they were on fire. They were on motivation. You got to remember we've had months break at this point. It's anyone's game. Going into the playoffs, there's no momentum. There's nothing from the past that's gonna come through now. So if you were on momentum, the break kind of sucks because it kind of cut that off for you. While teams like, I know, the Islanders, who were not doing so hot, the break was actually a huge benefit for us to regroup, get our teams together, and especially with injured players, come together and rally towards these playoffs. So, as you know, we have to remember that momentum is not going to be a factor here, and due to that, I got to pick the Jets.
Yeah, very good. So we'll move on to the Eastern Conference now. So I'll go with 1 through 4. We have the Eastern Conference champion, reigning Eastern Conference champion, Boston Bruins, a team that I desirably have to love because, of course, my Boston faith, I guess you could say, of me loving Boston sports, except for the New England Patriots because I am a Giants fan. 18-1 everybody. So Tom Brady's not in New England anymore, so I can't chime in on that. But then we have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who I love the Lightning. They're a great team, regular season team. They gave me headaches in the playoffs.
I like how you added regular season.
They gave me headaches in the playoffs, and I hate for that because John Cooper is such a good coach, and they have a great team. They do have a great team, and I just don't know where this top 4 seed stuff is, wherever that'll end up. But I'm very excited to see where that goes. Then you got the Washington Capitals, led by the greatest Russian scorer of all time, the greatest European scorer of all time, and probably the best player in the league. Anyone who can argue me about McDavid and or Crosby, please swipe up. I will give you without doubt the finest, fairest, and balanced argument on why Alexander Ovechkin has been playing out of his mind the past 2 to 3 years at his age. Reached 700 goals, one of only 7 players to reach it. So, I mean, that's that. And then you have the, surprisingly, I would say, Philadelphia Flyers. And not too many people had high ups on the Flyers this year. But you bring in the boy that has a great sense of urgency between the pipes from Canada, Carter Hart, a guy that should have been a Calder Trophy candidate, and you got Elaine Vigneault in that situation over in Philadelphia. I mean, you look at them: Konechny, Giroux, Voracek. It's just they play hard nosed hockey. So then now we'll go into the qualifying round teams. We have the 5th seeded Pittsburgh Penguins and the 12th seeded the Club de Hockey and the Montreal Canadiens at the 12th seed. And I did pick the Penguins because if it's the last run, boy, do I want to see Gino shine. Do I want to see Crosby in Gretzky's old house just making plays? Do I want to see Chris the Tank being that great defenseman he is? I want to see Matt Murray rise to the occasion. I mean, this team is just without a doubt collectively good because they're out for veterans for after getting swept by your Islanders last year, and I mean, you look at it now, and oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the head coach right now. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. Mike something. I'm like losing it. So, but where you see this series going favor?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's Mike Sullivan, by the way.
Mike Sullivan, yes, Mike Sullivan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have it in Penguins' favor, obviously. I mean, the Islanders definitely know how to, chip out the Penguins. I would say we're their like new hated playoff team, but they're still a strong team nonetheless. They were able to keep together with all their injuries this past season, able to keep together and be a 5th seeded team, which I think is extraordinary. I think they're a very, very talented team. And then when you're going against a 12th seed like Montreal Canadiens, who are they're not up to aptitude. They're just not. I feel like they're 2 teams not in the same league. And I'm sorry, Montreal Canadian fans, you guys need a rebuild. You guys need to, fix this team up. But it's definitely going to be Penguins in this series, no doubt, in my mind.
So I'll move on to the next matchup. It's the 6th seeded Carolina Hurricanes against the 11th seeded New York Rangers. And I'm going to say this because every Carolina Hurricane fan was definitely afraid to admit it because Martin Luck voted no for this because they knew who they were going to face in the playoffs. And they're 0-4, I believe, against them. And I got to see them play against the Rangers the night before Thanksgiving. And boy, am I picking the Rangers because the Carolina Hurricanes are definitely afraid of playing the Rangers. So I got the Rangers beating them in 5 games against Carolina Hurricanes. So I know you're an Islanders fan, so you might disagree with me on this because of your loyalty to the blue and orange. So
No, this is a toss-up for me. Absolutely. You know what? Both these teams are going to come out with fire, and I feel like this is definitely going to go all the way series. I don't think it's going to be an easy series for either one of them. You know what? And especially for the Carolina Hurricanes, playing someone like the Rangers, who have just been a crutch in their side. I was actually today watching the old weird NHLs, like going from one and just going through them, and their domination of the Carolina Hurricanes in like 2018, 2019 season, just like, I don't know. They just got those lucky tap-ins and things like that. They just have that like little edge on Carolina. So I really think they're going to be a thorn in their side. It's going to be a very tough matchup, but I actually had Rangers winning this one.
It's good. I mean, you get the Rangers, of course. I said, I'll try to pin Aaron. He gets the advantage at.
Yeah.
Adam Fox.
You got to remember, though, they don't have that momentum anymore either. They have Carolina has very good players like Justin Williams, who just pops out in the playoffs like, hello, it's going to be a toss-up. It really could go either way for me. It's just who wants it more.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys got Ryder, they got Sebastian Aho, oh my God, Andrei Fetchnikov. I almost ruined that, but
I'll get a nice lacrosse goal,
of course, pull up the Michigan if you need to. But
there we go.
So I mean, the Rangers. I mean, they got 3 goalie situation. Their assistant coach is now the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, so we know how they're going to do offensively. I'm sorry, defensively wise, because Lindy Ruff did coach defense for the Rangers, who was an offensive-minded coach. And I went on a rant about this yesterday. Yeah, if you want to look at that, next week, I guess you can hear about my rant about the whole like situation about Lindy Ruff, most positively and upbringingly, because I think it's positive for the Devils that they got a coach, and not many people disagree with it, and I understand that because they want somebody like Galan or Live Life, a guy who wins. But if you look at Lindy Ruff, the guy can succeed. He's what, seventh all time, sixth all time in winning, and in the league, he's probably, yes, he's the third coach, but the guy knows how to succeed with teams. So I'll move that on a little bit aside in the future times. But let's get on the next matchup. That is the seventh-seeded New York Islanders and the rematch of, I believe, if I get this wrong, please, God forgive
Correct.
me, 2016
16, yes.
quarterfinals rematch that ended in 7 games. Tie goal. Six? Oh, man. It's
okay, man. It's okay, man.
It's the bottom because I still remember thinking, who scored the tying goal? And I know who scored the winning goal.
John Tavares.
Yes. And then people ask that trivia question. It's like, oh, who scored the tying goal? It's like, John Tavares. Who scored the winning goal? John Tavares.
John Tavares.
Like, oh, we scored.
That's
Twice?
like the only offense we had. So,
you see him whip that puck around Robbie Lou's pad. You hear that loud noise, and then you hear it wrap around.
I still love watching it. People are like, "Oh, it's John Tavares."
It's so great.
I don't care. I still love it. It was the first time in 23 years we got to the second round. Of course, I'm gonna still enjoy it.
It's like me looking at Zach Parise when he left for his hometown in Minnesota. Like, I hated it, but you know what? The guy just got past 1,000 games, and look, the guy who's our captain, it's like a John Tavares kind of. Like, the guy left for his hometown. Kinda. It kind of rubbed Devils fans a little bit the wrong way. I'm not sure how. Well, I guess how badly he was it for the Islanders fans, but since you had to see them in the regular season, you didn't have to see the Devils play the Wild only for a couple few years, and so. But where can you see this series going? Because I'm not too fond of Florida, even with Joe Quenneville, who's a great coach. He's the winningest coach, I believe, right now. Well, except because Sky Bowman is the winningest coach of all time, but winningest right now. But I just totally see the Islanders, without a doubt, dominating the series.
Okay, I wouldn't say dominating. Hell no. It's going to be one of those like Carolina Rangers series, in my opinion, where it's going to be very, very close. We have a good record against them, 3-0 against Florida within playoff series. But it's going to come down to coach against coach and goaltender versus goaltender. I mean, Bobrovsky and Ned, he's a legend. If he, it's going to about if he shows up, how Quenneville plays this new team. It's going to be how, Florida shows up. It's going to be, it's a different situation we're versing than we did in 2016. And you know what? We're also a different team. We just picked up Jean-Gabriel Pageau, who's known to be a playoff player. If Everly rises to the occasion like he did versus the Pittsburgh Penguins last year, definitely going to be a help in our side because we need the offensive help. If him and Pageau can become the playoff players they can be, I feel like we can definitely have an edge in this series. We have that defensive structure back because, we have Pelech back, we have Boychuk back, who are two top defensemen on our team and that really create a structure. So they're going to be very helpful and vital to keeping our strong defensive structure. And I really do trust Grice and Varley in net. I feel like they're going to be definitely strong. And then you have Barry Trotz, who knows what the hell he's doing. He won a cup with the goddamn, Washington Capitals. So you know what? I have a lot of faith in my team. Do I have that much faith? No, I'm still an Islanders fan, but I'm going to call Islanders in 5.
So, I mean, if you look at the Islanders now, like, they're more of a, pushed up the ranks. I mean, they're not really, you look at a breakout team kind of. They literally, dump the puck. They find the dirty areas. And then you said Giant Boychuk. Of course, when Giant Boychuk played for the Boston Bruins back in the day, he had the second hardest slap shot next to former Islander Zdeno Chara. the longtime captain of the Boston Bruins.
I wish we could see Pulak slap shot because his is just as fast, man.
So now we'll move on to the final matchup here. We have the 8th seeded Toronto Maple Leafs and the 9th seeded Columbus Blue Jackets. And what can go wrong must go wrong with the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I know that either Jonas Korpisalo or Elvis Merzlikins will lead the Columbus Blue Jackets to victory, because again, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we know how Toronto does in the first round. We've seen a few times.
Well, it's technically not the first round, and they're not versus Boston, so let's see.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but it's kind of, well, I mean, we never know. If the Maple Leafs do beat the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Bruins do get the 4 seed in that, you might see another Bruins Maple Leafs matchup. And
if we see Bruins and Maple Leafs again, I'm gonna cry laughing. But it's a toss-up series again to me. This is a definite toss-up series again, because will the Toronto Maple Leafs show up, which I think they will. I mean, their offensive talent is bar none. But Columbus has this thing where they can come out of nowhere and be like, surprise! And, they did it against the Lightning. I think they have a good habit of other teams underestimating them and them taking advantage of that. So it's really going to – this is a series where it was hard to choose a winner. I kind of said Columbus. Sometimes I've said Columbus. Sometimes I've gone back to Maple Leafs. It's going to be, where it's hard to choose one, because I feel like it could just flip either way. It's going to be a coin toss in the end. And, I'm going to go to Toronto today.
I mean, I look at Columbus, and I think Torts puts the fear in God in the Blue Jackets, because he's just so demanding. Get up the ice. Check when needed to. Get loose pucks. Get rebounds. Go for dirty areas in the game. And I would love to see the Blue Jackets move on. I think in 4 games, I guess, 4 or 5 games. So I think it will be a fun series. And you look at those, again, those teams that you have kind of buys, that you say, and then will compete against each other. But you look at the Bruins, look at the Lightning, look at the Caps, and look at the Flyers. I mean, there's nothing really you could say about it. But it's just amazing. Then you look at the Western Conference. You got the Blues, defending champs, the Avs, what they're doing, the Golden Knights, how their publicity run, I guess you could say, because we know you're not the biggest Golden Knights fan.
Listen,
here.
It was just the first year. I just feel like they had to pay their dues. I feel like they have. If they won now, I'd be happy for them.
And then
since they have a guy named Robin Leonard.
Great pillows. His new design there. If anyone has not seen that on NHL.com or on the Twitter, he's got knights on his pads. So that's amazing. And then surprisingly, I guess you could say again, the Dallas Stars with that whole scenario on how they're doing with Jamie Benn, Corey Perry, Tyler Seguin, and stuff. So it'll be good for those 4 teams to get out to get playoff positioning. So, and I mean, if you look at that, and I'm just very excited to see where these teams will go in the future. So I will think of a couple other things to say, and I have your thoughts on this, because you look at the Islanders and you see how they are from draft-wise, see how their system's been, and you see how other teams are, like the Bruins, the Caps, the Rangers, the Flyers now, I guess you could say, the Lightning. Could you see more building systems, I guess you could say, whereas they're going to be good both offensively and defensively and goaltending-wise in the future when they click it, I guess you could say?
So you're looking at teams that rebuilding in a sense?
Well, teams that have like that factor, whereas like they're good both sides, I guess you could say, like they're fundamentally like crafted in the game. Like if you look at like what Steve Eisman did with the Lightning before he left for Detroit, you got like Mikhail Sergachev, Steven Stamkos, um, Nikita Kucherov, those guys. You got trades from, you took Ranger players and you put them on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they woke up, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
McDonough and stuff. I mean, then for caps wise, I mean, replacing Barry Trotz. I'm sorry, I'm like losing my
Yeah,
mind.
it's putting a coach in a situation where they help people flourish.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be having a team where he's in a situation where he feels comfortable and the team allows him to reach his full potential. And it's really, coaches are just a huge aspect of that. I mean, it goes back to like when we had Jack Capuano and we had Michael Grebner on this team, and really he was a great forward and we all could see that, but Jack Capuano just wasn't the right coach for him. He goes to the Rangers and he flourished under, John Tortorella and things like that. He knew how to use Grabner as a forward. Even bringing in Barry Trotz. If you look at old Pelech before Barry Trotz, he was like god awful. I wanted him off the team. And then when Barry Trotz came in, he became like a top defender on the team. He became an NHLer. The potential that we saw in him finally being released, things like that. Even ex-Ranger players, which is a big part of why Lindy Ruff wasn't as loved, is because he couldn't really bring out those defensive prospects to their full potential. Even someone like Neil Pionk, who on the Rangers was god awful, and then he goes up north to the Winnipeg Jets, and he has a much better season. Things like that. It's just about who, do you have a coach that can bring out the potential within your players? And that's why, a coach just means so much, why the Islanders were dying one for years. It's just having that right coach and that right, just that right tandem to create the most out of your players.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with that, because you need a coach that, one, that wants to have a winning system down, and two, that will get players like old veterans or young core players in that mix to find a good system to win. And I think we had that with the Islanders, we had that with the Caps, you had that with the Lightning, you had that with the Bruins, you're going to have that with the Rangers, of course, in the future, of course, with the Flyers. Hopefully for my Devils, I guess you could say, they find it the right way with Lindy Ruff in the future. But we're going to wrap it up for today. Kim, I thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much, brother.
Any last words that you want to say before I end it off here?
Yeah, sure. Let's go Islanders. If you're needing more Islanders info, or you're a New York Islanders fan, you want some, updates and stuff, I'm your girl. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube under IslesGirl3. Love talking Islanders, but I also love talking around the league. Come to the podcast Sundays at 10 p.m., Kim and the Crease podcast. I'd love to have you guys on. It's live on YouTube, so come and jump in.
Very good, very good. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever it may be. It is currently 9 right now. I would normally say go out and do something, because it's usually a bright day out, but I see the moon now in where I currently am residing in. And thank you again, Kim. This is Sports Talk Podcast. I'm Rose Kim. Make sure you follow Kim with her YouTube channel, Kim the Crease. Again, her information is there. Again, 1K subscribers. That is huge. That is not even close to where I'm at, but I'm still trying to work. So pray for me that I get myself somewhere in the future. So that was Kim Moisa. That was episode 10 of the Sports Talk Podcast. Again, this is Campbell Diamond. Good night. Remember, sports is a beacon of light, beacon of hope. Next week, we got some baseball. We got some hockey. Soccer's back. Football will be back in a couple of months, hopefully. Basketball's will be back. A lot more stuff in the future. Thank you again. Good night.